I get from you is the same frustration I was having with even coming tonight. Was the fact that, okay, if we're facilitating something, and as someone who facilitates plans, my frustration is I don't see the end result of these 4 forums. I don't see, oh, well, what have we assessed? What could we address? What can't we address? And I'm not looking for, something that's incredibly elaborate. But right now, I see no flip chart. I see no data. The neighborhood organization is taking video, but I doubt. Somebody's going to write this information down and then use it. And so, what I think we're looking for is that, okay, the questions on the agenda, have we answered them? What are we answering? Try and build consensus that way. Because right now, what's happening is we're all talking, and there's no consensus being built. We've just thrown out a bunch of ideas. It's kind of word vomit. Well, what good is that? What can we do? And go from there.
I would challenge that. I think we have had a lot of good ideas for these forums.
Well, I agree that they're good ideas. What's the end result?
I think everybody wants the answer. And that's a really hard thing to come up with. And 4 forums, 6 forums, 7 surveys, those kinds of things are necessary steps in the process to getting to the answer, but we don't have, and we won't have, a shiny piece of paper that says the answer is.
Well, and I don't think, I'm not looking for that. I understand what you're saying, and a lot of people get very angry when you don't have, well, why don't you have the solution, But if I were facilitating something, and say I came in, I was hired as a facilitator to get your business plan, I, at the end, would have a plan to present to you for approval that you could work with. It may not be the answer. It may fail miserably. It may do very well. But what I don't see is that if we're talking about the vision of Highland Square, what is that? What have we gained in the 3 things? Starting to articulate those needs is important. I think it's important for us to feel.
May I interrupt you for 1 second? I've been to all 3 of the meetings. All 3 of them have had a very different feel to them. The overwhelming reaction at all 3 of them has been very different. This is the only one where I feel that people have really shared honestly, people have been open, people haven't been shooting each other down, people haven't had an attitude. The first one, people had big attitudes. The second one, people had different big attitudes. And so you're talking about finding consensus? That's not even a goal. You're not going to find consensus of a community this large, especially if you're only asking the people that are willing to pull their ass into the library. So you're not going to find consensus. What they're trying to do, I think, is they're trying to get everybody's ideas. They're trying to get a sense of all the different parts of the community. They're trying to find if somebody's got an idea out there that they haven't already evaluated in the last 4 years that'll help steer them in a different direction or a new direction or find somebody new that can help them. You're not going to find consensus.
Well, I'm looking more for the collection of data so that we have the hard data. I don't see anything coming out of it, and that's where my frustration is.
Okay.
If I had to do it with a group this large, you go around and say, what's the one most important thing? And you list those and you prioritize them. It's not going to be representative of the whole community with 100 people. It's just not. But that's where we can start because we have better attention.
And I think that's, maybe a different kind of discussion, a different kind, maybe you have different ideas about what this should be than other people do. And it's, everybody wants something different out of these forums. And we do have surveys, we do read what people write down, we do have a process for collecting people's information. And so it's all part of the larger process. And
So in the end, what you collect the surveys, you have all of our input. Can you explain a little bit about what you then do with that information afterwards? Where does it go from there? Why have we spent our time here? So so that we can have some purpose. I outlined what I thought would be a reasonable purpose for all of us to spend all of the time that we have. But what do you see as the vision for the goal here after you've collected all this information? What do you do with it?
Well, I think that Albrecht Incorporated as the developer is seeking input as to what kind of grocery store, and the bigger question, what else should happen in Highland Square? What is the vision for the future?
Yeah, that's what you're seeking, but what do you do with it once you find that out?
And that's what I'm saying. We don't have now we will do this. We are seeking information so that we can evaluate it, and so that the thought process is more thoughtful and more focused on the community. And that's the process. And there's no magic bullet, there's
So
no
you're
magic package.
just collecting
It
information.
seems like it's all process.
Well, we're collecting, I mean, I think we're
There's
collecting
no goal.
information too, no, there's the goal, one of the goals, I mean, I think there's a lot of goals, but one of the goals is to get ideas that perhaps Albrecht Inc has not thought of yet, or get information from the community as far as, here's where we stand. We've got a grocery store operator. This is the reality. There's no grocery store operator. The Triangle site, and anywhere else in Highland Square, there's no grocery store operator. So now what? Now what? Can we find a way to get a grocery store operator? Are we going to have to face the reality that there's going to be no grocery store operator? Are we going to have to face the reality that if the grocery store operator comes, it's going to be subsidized by the city? Are we going to have to go the co-op route? You know, what are our options? What are the world of options, and what can we as a community support? You know, if the city is willing, and I've heard that the city's willing to put in money, is that the best use of taxpayer dollars? Is that what the people of Highland Square really want their taxpayer dollars used for? A grocery store? Is there
Okay,
something?
another question, is that what the citizens of Ella and Kenmore and North
Right.
Hill?
Well,
Right,
but we
absolutely.
gave our
It's
dollars
in
for
favor-
Dave's, we gave our dollars for Henry's.
So how are
I
you
mean,
gonna
that's
answer
kind
that
of,
question?
it's kind of unfair
Like
to
I said,
say.
you only have four, you have
You know,
four
come on.
council,
Well,
you
we
have
don't
four
want to-
councilmen that'll definitely, will
I mean, you
probably
can't,
vote
don't
yes.
press the hot button of taxes whenever,
No, but I'm just
whenever
saying-
other places in the city have gotten.
I'm just saying, here are our options, here where we stand, here are our options, decisions have to be made. You know, options have to be presented, ideas have to come forward, decisions have to be made ultimately, and whatever the decision ends up being, you know, we all have to realize that we've all participated and done whatever we could to understand what Highland Square wants, what Highland Square needs, and to do our best to fulfill what that might be. And we know we're really hearing that in addition to the grocery store, which is a big issue obviously, other issues arise to the top of many people's agendas just as equal. You know, the fact is there is a grocery store bus. Maybe maybe it needs to be expanded. Maybe it needs to have more stops. Maybe it needs to have additional, whatever it could take to serve the community in a better fashion. In reality, I mean, is it more convenient for someone to walk through the snow to the grocery store? Or is it more convenient for someone to stand outside in front of their apartment complex, have the bus come by and pick them up, take them to the grocery store, bring them back? I don't know, I haven't lived that. But it's something that we need to really, I think about as part of the process and the outcome of what's going to happen. So I think the goal is to collect ideas, to understand that we're all coming together as the common goal. We're not adversarial. You know, Albrecht Inc wants to bring a grocery store operator in here. The fact is they haven't been able to do that, and in cooperation with the city, haven't been able to do that for a variety of reasons. This is where we stand. Where do we move forward? You know, what else is important at Highland Square? The walkability, the small businesses. Well, okay, let's keep the small businesses. Let's find a way to keep the small businesses. Maybe the city's grant would be better used to keep the small businesses in Highland Square in a different way, in a new building. I don't know, but I think we're presented at kind of a crossroads here of, here's our situation, how do we move forward in ways that are beneficial to all the residents of